What up, y'all? So my mic ran out of battery, so hopefully y'all can hear me clearly. So what we're gonna do today is I'm gonna do a tier list, and I'm gonna do most manipulative tier list. Um, Now, when it comes to most manipulative types, I'm gonna be honest with you. For the most part, I think in general, extroverts are going to be more manipulative than the introvert counterpart. But that does not mean that introverts can't go really high on the list. You know what I'm saying? But I think if we had to pick, the extroverted version of that type is going to be more likely more manipulative because it's more externally focused. Extroverts are more externally focused, which can lead to them being more people oriented. But it also depends on the type. Depends on what quadrant we talk about because some extroverts are not as people oriented as other extroverts are, but it doesn't mean like extroverts are going to be more likely to be manipulative because they're dealing with people, you know. So, with that being said, um, also being manipulative can be a superpower depending on how you use it. You can use if you're a manipulative person, it can be used for good. It's not always bad. You know, there's a bad connotation to being manipulative because people don't like to feel like they've been manipulated. But if you are a person who knows, like, hey, I can be manipulative if I really wanted to, it's actually a superpower. You know what I mean? Um, so take it as a compliment. You know what I mean? Even though it can be a bad thing, you just make sure you're not using it for bad. Let's just say that. So, anyways, I got a little bit of clipping on this audio. I'm trying to turn it down a little bit. Maybe that's my producer brain talking. I don't know. It might not be clipping that bad. I don't fucking know. Let me excuse my language because YouTube doesn't like cursing. Excuse me. But anyways, let's get to it. So we got run. Run is S tier. You know what I mean? I decided to just call it run because yeah. Also, I'm using this like uh what's the name of that website? I don't know why I slipped my mind, but everybody's seen this before. It's like only beginners know these icons. I kind of don't like this one as much, but right now that's what we got. Um, what is the name of that website actually? 16 Personality. Y'all know what everybody knows that website. That's like the beginners. Like beginners love that way. That's all they know is these little icons. They don't know anything about Myers-Briggs outside of this, but let's just go with it. Um, so yeah, let's get started. ESTPs. Now ESTPs can be quite manipulative. Um, because it's like they're always kind of testing the waters with everybody around them. They kind of do stuff and they kind of can do stuff for a reaction, and then based on their reaction, they can know a lot about you. They make a lot of very in the moment judgments on people, and they can read people really well to a point to where they can tell who they can like manipulate very easily. Um, and they don't look at it as a personal thing. They look at it as it's just a game, kind of. They can be quite manipulative. I would say they go A tier. They're not the most manipulative, but they are pretty up high up on the list. Um, Now, with them being present moment oriented, it might bump them down a little bit, like being an SC Dom. But yeah, they can be quite manipulative. Now, ENTPs can be manipulative. Um, Very similar to an ESTP, except I think an ENTP's manipulation can be less noticeable than the ESTP's manipulation. It's lot more subtle. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean they're any better or worse at it. It's just it just isn't like in your face as much because that's just how they are. In general, ENTP is a little more in the background than the ESTP. ESTPs have like a little bit stronger presence in general. Now, with that being said, their type of manipulation style is more like a mischievousness, like them just being mischievous. That's like kind of the vibe of it. But I would say they're about as manipulative as an ESTP is probably. It's just would look a little different, less direct in your face energy in general. So I think a little less noticeable but equal. ESTJs. The funny thing about ESTJs, I would not consider them manipulative. But like they're like not manipulative, but they are controlling. which is interesting because people who are manipulative tend to also be controlling. Like, but ESTJs are all are super manipulative, but not controlling. Excuse me. Actually, I meant to say ESTJs are super controlling, but they're not really that manipulative. They're more likely they're going to directly tell you what to do. They're not going to like do a bunch of tricks and stuff like that to get you to do what they want you to do. Um, Necessarily, that's the difference in manipulation and somebody that's actually controlling. So they go pretty low on the list. They're like, if this was a which is the most controlling list, they would go probably S tier, but I say C tier, which is very interesting. You know what I mean? Because those two things tend to be synonymous, but they are different things. They just tend to go together. But in this case, it's just that, you know, yeah. So INTJs, can they be manipulative? Maybe a little bit. I don't think they're super manipulative. The thing about INTJs, their manipulation style is more like um, they kind of like being people's mentors, and they kind of like to um, see people progress in a way. But they can look at people as like little projects and stuff like that. So they can make really good mentors, and then they can enjoy doing like playing like the game of life like chess. They can use life like they can use you as a chess piece. Like they can see where your trajectory is, and then they can make small actions here and there to help push you in a certain direction. And they enjoy seeing people like a healthy INTJ enjoys seeing people reach their full potential, and they will do a great job of helping them reach their full potential. This is something I don't think is talked about enough for INTJs. Now, as far as being manipulative, now when you talk about something like that, it can lean towards being a little bit on the manipulative side if they're not careful. But I don't think in general they're necessarily manipulative. But this is actually a tricky one. I kind of either want to put them B or C tier, but I think I'm gonna go B. You know what I'm saying? ESFPs. So ESFPs, I say an unhealthy ESFP can be very manipulative. A healthy ESFP, I don't think they're quite as manipulative, but I do think ESFPs can be manipulative in certain ways. Um, More so like I'm just thinking like unhealthy. It's more so an unhealthy ESFP, but also a healthy ESFP can have their moments probably where they are manipulative. They could be manipulative if they wanted to be, but like if a ESFP has developed introverted feeling, they'll be very genuine people and stuff like that. So even a toxic ESF, it's hard for SFPs to be not genuine, even when they're unhealthy. Like an unhealthy ESFP will be fake. You know what I mean? But like it's almost like they're authentically fake. Even when they're fake, they're authentic. It's weird, but like um, ESFP, they can probably go to bottom of A tier. They can be quite manipulative though. Um, as far as getting things they want and things like that. Most so like their style of manipulation will probably be lying or something like that. If I had to pick, probably like yeah, lying is a form of manipulation, I guess. But ENTJs, now ENTJs, they're gonna be a little bit of a mixture of the INTJ and the ESTJ. As far as how manipulative they could be. So like the INTJ, they can kind of look at people like chess pieces and stuff like that. And then like the ESTJ, they're more likely to want to tell you what to do directly. But a little bit in between. So I would say they go B tier as well, in my opinion. I think that's a solid take. Now moving on, ENFP. I'm gonna tell you right now, ENFPs can be very manipulative. Um, they can be manipulative without them realizing it. Now, as far as myself, I could pick up on their manipulation pretty quickly. Maybe if I'm not familiar with it, like if I've never had that type of manipulation run on me, they might get me that first time. But like after that, they'll never be able to get me again with that. Like I will be able to see through their BS. That's kind of how I am with it. I feel like I am with everybody in general. Like as far as being manipulated, I don't think my type is easily manipulated. But we're talking about ENFPs right now. ENFPs can be quite manipulative. Now I'm gonna be honest with you, they're gonna go S tier. They're gonna go in the run category for sure. I'm just be honest with y'all. ISFPs. Now ISFPs, I would say they lean more so on the not manipulative side. Because they're very genuine. They might be one of the most genuine out of the 16 types. So I would say they're not very manipulative. Now the only thing that can lead them to being manipulative is the fact that they are like very they could be kind of passive aggressive in some ways, like because they kind of want to avoid confrontation. So sometimes they're not direct because the inferior extroverted thinking they have, it makes them fear, like if they were to speak up about something, even if it wouldn't lead to an argument or a negative confrontation, just from them telling you, they have this irrational fear sometimes that if they do speak up, they can lead to a big confrontation. You know what I'm saying? So in that way, they can be kind of passive aggressive, which can lead to them being a little bit manipulative, but they're not really that manipulative. I say they go C tier. Um, yeah, INFPs. I think INFPs could lean more on the manipulative side. Very similar to the ISFP in that sense, and it's kind of going to be like a little bit of a mixture of the ENFP, but like INFPs, kind of in their own world. They can be mischievous, have the mischievousness of manipulation as well, kind of similar to the ENFP. Like I think of a manipulative INFP example, like a villain I like to think about is Loki from the Avengers. Loki, I say, is an INFP. Now I've heard a lot of different types for Loki, but INFP sticks pretty well. I think I want to kind of put them top of C tier, bottom of B. I think, yeah, bottom of B tier. We'll go there. INTPs, INTPs, very detached, aloof people. They don't really have much interest in being bothered with people like that necessarily. Um, Now, as far as them being manipulative, I don't think they're very manipulative. I think they are so focused on maybe their ideas, or let's say if they got some projects they're working on, they really just not people oriented. They're very aloof. Um, they more so the type of they are manipulative, but they're not manipulative when it comes to people. They're manipulative when it comes to concepts and ideas. So they're trying to control and formulate different concepts and ideas. I'm gonna put them D tier. They're not very manipulative. ESFJ. ESFJs, I think they can be quite manipulative. When you're an FE dom, which is what they are, very people oriented. Um, they can be kind of pulling strings, doing things. There's a complex dynamic when it comes to dealing with people and emotions, and they can be very in tune with it to the point where they could be kind of manipulative. I would put them S tier, maybe close to bottom of S tier, but yeah, S tier. ISFJs can be kind of manipulative in the sense to where they can kind of think they know what's best for other people if they're not careful, to the point to where they could start being manipulative in ways more so like a social manipulation, like a toxic, let's say an insecure ISFJ. I've seen insecure ISFJs try to manipulate like conversations when you're like, they could try to manipulate, they could manipulate a conversation and try to embarrass you like in an indirect way without you realizing it. If you're not smart enough to realize it, they could like steer conversations in front of people in certain directions. Like this is like an insecure ISFJ though. Um, like when they're feeling insecure, they can do these things sometimes. But as far as being manipulative, they can be quite manipulative. Sometimes, but a lot of times when they're manipulative, they do mean well, but it just may not be good for people around them. Um, but I think they could go S tier. I think the extroverted feeling can be really manipulative. I'm going to say that. Okay, my type, ISTP. Now, ISTP, my type, we're not, I don't think we're inherently manipulative. Um, the only time ISTP will be manipulative is if we're caught in a extroverted feeling grip. or some people call it the grip when you're with your inferior function. Some people call it different things. Like it used to be called inferior eruption. That was one of the names I like to use. I got that from a guy that used to make new videos back in the day called Dr. Juice. That's a good one. I mean, we caught in a low function, inferior function thing, and maybe we could have moments, but it's like very repulsive moments of manipulation that like it's out of our character. You know what I mean? The way that the thing is, we're going to be manipulative when it comes to tools and things, and whatever we are considering a tool, whether it be our bodies, we like to manipulate our bodies, we like to manipulate things or whatever we're into. We take that same energy that a manipulative person would take towards people, and we're that same way with things and machines and tools. Um, so with that being said, I'm talking about manipulative as in like people manipulating people. We go probably D. If I had to really specify between D and F, I would say D. I say we get a D minus. So we're very low on the list. INFJ. INFJs, you gotta be careful with INFJ. Now, INFJs mean well, but they can be manipulative too. Even though they do mean well, they can be quite manipulative. Um, Now, a genuine INFJ, the reason why INFJs could be manipulative even when they mean well is because they may not always know how to directly express certain things like wants and needs. Like they genuinely just might not know how to directly tell you or express it. Like it can be really hard for them. It's not like because they trying to be difficult or nothing like that. It's just like they might not have the words for it. You know what I'm saying? To directly express it. So they can lean towards instead of like being direct about it, they can like do manipulative things, which like it can come off wrong to some people if you don't know any better. It can be misinterpreted. You know what I mean? Because it's like most people are used to like if you sense manipulation, you're gonna think it's bad automatically. That's how we all are. Because most of the time, when people are manipulative, it is bad, but it's not always bad. You know what I mean? I think they do go S tier as well, to be honest with you. Um, even though they can mean well. ICJs. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think ICJs are the least manipulative people because they like ICJs already struggle with kind of reading between the lines. Um, they kind of not the best when it comes to hints. So in turn, they also don't like to hint around things. They rather just tell you directly. Um, I think they really go at the bottom. They like the least manipulative out of all 16 types. Honestly, they are F when it comes to manipulation. Um, so now we got ENFJs. I'm gonna tell you right now, ENFJ is one of the most manipulative types out of all 16. Similar to the INFJ, except they're manipulative just like the INFJ, except it's more aggressive with it. Like, and they can mean well too, just like the INFJ, but it could be kind of more on a more aggressive. It's like a more aggressive version of what the INFJ does, pretty much. And I would put them at almost the top. It's between ENFP and ENFJ. I think ENFJ might be number one, honestly. Um, and just looking at that ranking, I think that's a pretty solid ranking. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. That's all I got for right now. Maybe I'll go in and try to enhance this audio a little bit because I don't have my mic. My mic was dead, so hopefully the audio sounds good enough for y'all. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, man, let me know what y'all think. And like, bro, and this topic, I took a break from topics to where I'm like really ranking people on a skill that everybody wants to be good at because y'all be getting offended when I put a sensing type S tier on something, like, which is ridiculous. Y'all need to like I've already addressed, like, come on, man. I'm gonna do more topics. I don't think I'm like afraid to do those type of topics. I'm gonna do topics where senses get ranked S tier because it's like y'all complaining in the comment section ain't gonna stop me. Y'all gonna have to live with it. But anyways, um, thanks for watching. See y'all later.